He was born with a passion for entrepreneurship and innovation, and Jack Kim has decided to use his skills for philanthropy. When he discovered that search engines were a multi-billion-dollar business, he decided to use his skills for good. Up from the Bay Area, here's Jack Kim.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
In my short 18 years of life so far, I've had two distinct moments when I literally felt the world open around me. One was when I learned how to make websites, and the other was when I realized that every single thing around me, no matter how big or complicated, is just a combination of parts and pieces put together by a team of talented engineers. Now, that second realization seems pretty simple, but when I actually experienced it, just as Steve Jobs said in the video, it genuinely changed the way I look at the world around me. So today, I'm here to share with you a little bit of my story, and how I ultimately came around to this concept, the seemingly trivial concept that's had such a big influence in my life. So let's start with the first story. When I was a freshman in high school, at the fresh age of 14, I met the love of my life. She was smart, popular, pretty, influential, basically anything that a guy could ask for. Her name was the World Wide Web, and she was, in my eyes, the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my life. I met this gal in a class called Web Design and Development, which I actually didn't even sign up for, but was enrolled in since the PE class was too full. Anyways, I decided to stick around in the class, and within the first few weeks, I was hooked. I learned everything from basic HTML and CSS to how people interact with websites, to how the entire internet actually works. Then, a couple months into the course, I found this thing called Google AdSense. It was an advertising platform that Google offered to website owners, where they would pay you money every time you displayed their ads on your website. To me, this kind of seemed like free money, and I really didn't have anything to lose, so I decided to dive straight in. After dozens of weird, sometimes just straight up dumb ideas on websites, I hit the jackpot with a website called twilugal.com. And yes, as the name is explanatory, it was a Twilight-themed search engine. But don't get me wrong, I actually hated the Twilight series, but I did see that a lot of girls were obsessed with it, and thought that a lot of them would use my website. Well, I ended up being right, and within the first few weeks of development and Facebook marketing, I had a couple thousand visitors a month, and I made about $500 from AdSense. Now, this may not seem like a lot of money now, but back then, when I was 14, it was a really big deal. So that marked the very first time I felt the world open around me. This time, to the incredible world of entrepreneurship. I suddenly felt that I could make anything online, and embarked on dozens more web projects to try to make money. Then, a couple years later, I ended up with an idea for BenLab, my very first full-scale venture. After seeing the immense profitability of search engines through Twilugal, I thought, why not make a search engine that donated all of its revenues to charity? So I assembled a team of about 5 students from my high school, and benelab.org was officially launched in September 2011 with a limited budget of about $1,500. Our team worked incredibly hard for the next year and a half, and we were able to donate everything from hearing aids to goats, all from free web searches. It was truly an eye-opening and rewarding journey. We were featured in over 20 local, national, and international press outlets, and had hundreds of users from all around the world supporting our cause. With BenLab, we truly had a bold vision to essentially harness the virtual realm to impact the physical one, and we totally pulled it off. Now, fast forward a little bit to this summer, in the middle of August, and that's where the second story begins. This second realization, unlike the first one, happened very suddenly, at a rather random situation, while I was working on my first Kickstarter project to build a portable multimedia monitor. It It was my first ever venture into the hardware space, so I was just learning as I went along. Then, going through all the initial phases of finding the right LCD panel, dealing with manufacturing and suppliers, and hiring the right freelance designer, I suddenly realized that all I was actually doing was just putting different parts and pieces together to create one bigger product. I mean, I wasn't even building anything from scratch. And then an even bigger realization hit me. This was no different for any other product out there in the world. I mean, if you think about it, this clicker that I'm holding, or this iPad, or the shoes that she's wearing, or even this whole building that we're in the end, it's nothing but a combination of parts and pieces put together by a team of engineers someday. The epiphanies didn't stop there, though. The biggest, most profound one of them all soon followed, and it was this. Everything that I've ever built in my entire life, from the dozens of useless websites to Toylugal using Benelab, were also nothing but a combination of different parts to create one complete thing. Toylugal was nothing more than a cluster of HTML tags and a couple hundred lines of CSS, hosted on a server somewhere in New Jersey. And Benelab was nothing more than a group of passionate students who had a clear drive and vision to do something great. And then, the more and more I kept thinking about it over the coming weeks, I kept seeing that this applied to literally everything in the world. Not just physical products, but even global companies, and even whole nations. In this case, there are people instead of LCD panels, and brain power instead of processors. Take Apple and the Macintosh, for example, the computer that revolutionized the PC industry. Steve Jobs actually didn't write a single line of code that went into the Macintosh, but what he did, and all he did, was put the best of the best of the best of the best engineers and designers into one team and pointed them towards the right direction with a clear vision. And he changed the world through it. And it's not just companies either. Anything you could possibly imagine, from the Golden Gate Bridge to the moon landing in 1969, to even the discovery of the Americas, in the end, it all just boils down to a group of very talented individuals. Now, what does all this mean, though? And how is this realization even relevant to my life or your life? Well, what I really want to hit home today and prove to you is the fact that anyone in this world has the equal power and opportunity as these great individuals to pick up their own pieces and make something great. People like Steve Jobs has happened to be one of the very few people in the world that genuinely realize this fact and put it into action. But the incredible thing is, so can I, and so can you. I mean, in the end, we're all just the same human beings. Now, in my case, I'm a social entrepreneur. I want to harness the power of innovation in business to help people on a global scale. I want to popularize social innovation and put an altruistic dent in the universe. And I genuinely believe that I can do all this because I know for a fact that there are thousands of individuals in this world that are more smarter and knowledgeable than I am, and certainly more than enough brain power and capital to tackle these global problems. All I have to do is find these people, work together, and direct them to the right problems. It's definitely not going to be as easy as it seems, but I know that it can be done, and I will be the one to do it. Now, before I end, I just want to leave you with what these two stories have ultimately taught me. The world is essentially nothing more than just a room full of colorful Play-Doh. And if you look closely at history, it belongs to the ones who truly shaped them, mold them, and pick the right colors to build something truly amazing. And as soon as you realize that anyone, even you, can do the exact same thing, you're already halfway there to being able to truly change the course of history. So go out there, and let's make something truly incredible. Thank you.